Welcome back to the Links Golf Podcast. I'm Al Lunsford, digital editor for Links. We're talking Ryder Cup today. Bethpage, the players on the rosters that are going to make a splash, our favorite Ryder Cups of all time, our favorite Ryder Cup courses of all time. And while I can't guarantee that the old course is ever going to get the chance to host the Ryder Cup, Perry Golf, our sponsor this season, can guarantee you a tee time on the old course at St. Andrews. And since 1984, they've been the gold standard in luxury golf travel with thoughtfully designed itineraries spanning 40 countries and 6 continents. You can do small group tours, you can do golf cruises, or fully customized tours for your private group. Their hosts ensure that everything is seamless. They take care of it all, from teeing off to staying at great hotels and exploring those local cultures, those things that make each destination unique. So if you're ready for your extraordinary golf adventure, let Perry Golf show you how far the game can take you. Visit perrygolf.com, Perry golf.com, and play the game, see the world. Now enjoy this episode, our last episode of this season, all about the Ryder Cup. We look forward to seeing how it turns out at Bethpage this September. Welcome back to the Links Golf Podcast, last episode of our current season of the podcast. I'm Al Lunsford, digital editor for Links, joined by my co-host Joe Passoff. We're still, as of this recording, about over a month away from the Ryder Cup, but we wanted to touch on it today in this episode of the podcast because that is the big event left on the calendar this calendar year on the golf schedule. So today's episode will be Ryder Cup themed. We're going to talk about Bethpage a little bit, who we think might be a breakout star in this competition, and then a couple favorites. Our favorite competition, favorite course that has hosted the Ryder Cup. Joe, hope you're doing well today, and would love to hear your thoughts about Bethpage Black, because I've never been as a fan. I've never visited, played, none of it. So I kind of go off of what I can in the research department, but what do you know? What's there to know about Bethpage?
Well, Al, yeah, you're asking me at this point in time about the Ryder Cup and Bethpage, and I'm willing to talk to you about it, unlike Scotty Scheffler yesterday, who told a reporter at the press conference, don't ask me about the Ryder Cup right now. That's 6 weeks away. If you want to talk about the tournament I'm in, meaning the BMW at Caves Valley, fine, but otherwise I've got to go practice. Hey, that's
They're
how
getting
rabid,
tired of it. They're,
yeah,
which is
still
another,
rabid fan.
yeah, another way of them just basically saying like, we know, like we're all itching to get there, but it's still a long way away. But yeah, here
Well,
we
for
are.
the P exactly. I mean, for the PGA Tour, we do have the BMW and then the actual Tour Championship from Eastlake, and the Ryder Cup's a little ways off. But yes, we all love talking about it. Once the majors are over, all due respect to the Tour Championship, our minds are on the Ryder Cup during a Ryder Cup year. So this year, yes, the Ryder Cup headed to Bethpage Black, Farmingdale, New York, out on Long Island. And yeah, I mean, first thought is congratulations. Great choice because the sports fanatics and all sports, not just golf, of New York, the public golfer, the municipal golfer, deserves this Ryder Cup. No question about it. They U.S. Opens that have been held there, and then to a lesser extent, the Barclays playoff tournaments that have been held at Bethpage Black. We know it's the everyman golf course. Now, not everyman prices and availability to be able to get a ticket to attend the Ryder Cup. That's neither here nor there. PGA of America has done some nice things about offering opportunities, providing opportunities for folks to be able to who otherwise couldn't afford it and get to spectate. What are they going to see at Bethpage Black? Well, this is not new ground. It is one of the toughest golf courses, private, public, or anything in between in golf. Certainly American golf, but let's call it world golf. I've been there, written about it, uh, talking about uh, gargantuan length par fours, one of the hardest set of par fours in the country. Uh, we're talking about a pretty healthy walk up some steep hills, especially towards the end, which may have an effect on golfers who are playing 36 in a day. Maybe yes, maybe no. Some of the fitter ones shouldn't have to worry about it too much. But in addition, what has defined some of the U.S. Opens at Bethpage Black is not just the gargantuan length of the par fours and some of the uphill climbs, but risk fracturing rough. Again, holy cow, do not miss a fairway or a green. None of this namby-pamby, let's shave down collars and, pop it up there with a hybrid. It was always thick, juicy rough, where it was difficult to advance the ball in any meaningful way at times, and certainly prohibitive in terms of reaching greens. However, Al, this is the Ryder Cup. I will tell you, on this side of the coin, it's not my favorite pick for a golf course because I think it excels more as a stroke play course. Very much in the way of Oak Hill was, the East Course there in 1995, Oakland Hills South in 2004. What do I mean by better stroke play course than match play course? I think match play courses simply offer more risk reward opportunities, a little bit more of a green light to take some chances and go at it. And if you mess up, it's only a loss of one hole as opposed to making a gigantic number in stroke play.
Mhm.
So for my favorite Ryder Cup match play courses, I like those that have more risk reward, whereas Bethpage is a little bit more about making an endless stream of bogeys rather than doubles and triples. But by the same token, it is a big time venue. And I think the fact that it doesn't necessarily favor either team, we know that the PGA of America will not set it up that hard, meaning it's not going to be a U.S. Open setup. The fairways are going to be a little wider. The rough's going to be down. We do want to see some exciting play and some birdies made, whereas U.S. Open kind of prizes pars one after the other after the other. That is my take on Bethpage Black. It's got its pluses and minuses to me as a Ryder Cup venue, but all told, the pluses outweigh the minuses.
Big ballpark. Like you said, the People's Country Club. It's nice to see it go to a place that is so familiar to so many in that market. It's going to be absolutely bananas there. Uh, there are reports, as you mentioned, maybe the rough coming down from its usual thickness, up to 5-inch thick rough down to maybe half that. So there has been some chatter about that already. As you said, the home team kind of has the advantage of getting to set some things up, and that will help in the way of guys deciding, instead of your U.S. Open setup, your PGA Championship setup, where you're maybe looking just to get it in the fairway. Let's go ahead, bomb it out there, hack it out of the rough, like they do so often on the PGA Tour these days. That might favor the team itself that the U.S. has. And I also heard that they built an extra tee box on the first hole, so a little bit forward. Maybe you have a chance to drive that green as well out of the gate for some of those bigger hitters. Remember Bryson DeChambeau doing that at Whistling Straits in the first hole, driving on the green, making an eagle. You could see him doing the same thing at Bethpage, given the right circumstances. So something exciting to look forward to out of the gate there. And I know that's what the U.S. team wants to do, is they want to get ahead early and keep a lead instead of trying to chase down these Europeans, because it's an interesting matchup that a lot of people think the Europeans have a chance to get one, and in that mid 2000s area when they were kind of dominating, it sort of feels the same. So I'm really excited to see Bethpage, big bunkers, Tillinghast features. It's really, really cool to see. So, Joe, even though Lynx doesn't cover round by round scores like some traditional golf outlets, we still are very much fans of the game and the competition. And uh, what I wanted to know from your end, looking at the standings, thinking about past Ryder Cups and seeing some rookies really break out, whether it's a rookie or not, who are you seeing on either side that you think as a player going into the Ryder Cup may become a breakout star or a name that, it could be a household name that maybe they just carry over and play really well. But who are you eyeing in this competition and seeing as someone that's going to be effective at Bethpage?
Well, the easiest choice I had, given we don't know the entire makeup of the teams yet, but for Europe, the name that jumped out at me is Robert McIntyre. And again, he's not quite yet in that superstardom category where Rory and John Rahm and others sit, nor as high a profile, say, as Terrell Hatton, who both entertains and amuses with his temperament and his very talented play. So why McIntyre? And I thought it was some real genuine flash of insight on my part. And then I saw he went 2-0-1 in the last Ryder Cup at Marco Simone in Italy. And I'm like, well, then, what kind of breakout are you going to do when you're already undefeated in 3 matches with the one you have done? But I see him, then he was a raw rookie. And this time, he has proven himself really with some terrific performances in high pressure situations. You want kind of fan crazy stuff. He didn't play a lot on the PGA Tour, but he did finish tied for sixth at the Waste Management or WM Phoenix Open this year, where the crowds are for a regular tour event are about as wild as they come. So he's not going to be affected or intimidated by the partisan galleries at Bethpage. Tough courses, big stages, finished ninth at the Players this year. Of course, he was second at Oakmont at the U.S. Open to J.J. Spawn. I mean, that's the golf course that probably compares most favorably in raw difficulty with Bethpage. So he handled himself beautifully there. Obviously, Canadian RBC Canadian champ in 24, Genesis Scottish Open champ in 24, bested U.S. Open champ Matt Fitzpatrick in 22 to win a playoff at the Italian Open. Okay, I just see all of that fitting in well with his strong suits at Bethpage for Europe. For the U.S., I'll make it quick. Scotty Scheffler did great in his first Ryder Cup in 2021. 2023, not so good. 0-2-2. Didn't play all 5 matches and didn't win a single one of them. So why Scotty Scheffler? Because he now is the man. I mean, Rory is right up there, but Scotty is the man. And I think he needs to show that this Ryder Cup simply to say that 2023 was an aberration. The other individual I'm going to give a nod to, even though he is not a playing team member just yet, Keegan Bradley. Again, we talk about crazy, flag-waving, patriotic, love, live, breathe this stuff. That's Keegan Bradley. And that's why it was just such a gut punch when he did not make the team in 2023, even though he was number 11 on the points list. So how do you comfortably name yourself to the team? And he's number 10 on the points list right now. Just pick the top 7 through 12 to complete your team. Don't show any favoritism or bias or whether you're a fan favorite or your past record in the Ryder Cup is good. Just say for a year to a year and a half time, you proved yourself by being in the top 12 in the points. And Keegan, pat yourself on the back and put yourself in there. You got hosed in 2023, and you deserve the make good, even if it's you doing the make good.
Yeah, we'll know soon enough whether what's going to happen there. Obviously, he will either play or just be a captain. Either way, he'll have an effect on what happens there. Robert McIntyre, uh, yeah, looking at Europe's team, I mean, it's almost the same exact roster you could see from
Yeah.
2023. Like you, that entire 12 could be the same 12 that end up at Bethpage. And yeah, Robert McIntyre played well in the last Ryder Cup. You could see him sort of assume this role as some guys shift out in years to come. Justin Rose, uh, maybe this is his last Ryder Cup, and Bobby Mack becoming more of a fixture on that team. I always tell it for rooting interest. Robert McIntyre is a McNeese State grad, which is my wife's alma mater. So I'm always telling her if you're looking for a golfer to root for, and it's not Scotty Scheffler, then Bob McIntyre's your man. So we'll see where she stands in the Ryder Cup. You mentioned his name, and I think for me, a person who uh, turned a lot of heads and made people say who is that to begin with earlier this year, but should become more of a household name after this competition. Um, is JJ Spawn, and you mentioned the course fit Oakmont to Bethpage. Uh, JJ Spawn is somebody that's exuding this sort of trust in himself right now. He's got this his demeanor is sort of unflappable. We just saw him finish second in a playoff to Justin Rose at the FedEx St. Jude. Since winning the U.S. Open in June, obviously his coming out party, he has been steady. He's only missed one cut, and he's only missed every event that he's played in where he has made the cut. He hasn't finished outside the top 23. He's seemingly, I mean, the stats don't say he's like the best putter on tour, but he's pretty electric with a putter in his hands. What he is extremely good at is his approach play. He's sixth overall on the tour, the PGA Tour, in strokes gained approach to the green. When you boil that down to approach shots from 50 to 75 yards, he's number one. He's averaging 9 feet 4 inches from that distance. So, I mean, you get him on a team with a Bryson or with somebody that's going to put it out there and get him close, give him the ability, especially an alternate shot, to stiff one and give a good birdie look consistently. I mean, that's a pretty good person to rely on there. And you got to like him in singles too, based on what he did at Oakmont. He's just been really steady. He's got this belief in himself right now. I think unless he doesn't play very well, I think a lot of people are going to come around and think JJ Spawn is the real deal. And I think for Europe, I'm looking at the one person on here that doesn't really pop out. I mean, he was, let's see, yeah, he was on the Ryder Cup team in 2023 and only got 1 point. I guess you go either way with this. I was thinking Sepp Straka, Nikolai Højgaard also. Those two guys are sort of fringe. I mean, Sepp has had such a good year on the PGA Tour this year. Højgaard is still someone that I don't think anyone popularly really knows. Really big fans of golf know that name, but they don't go far beyond that. He played in 3 matches in 2023 and went 0-2 and 1. So even that wasn't enough to really introduce you to who this guy is. But everyone else is sort of household names. So depending on how this competition goes, if Europe plays really well and some of these guys are on the team again, their second go around, and they have learned from the first time, they can weather the storm with the fans and the course. There's not going to be light at the end of the tunnel for the Americans if they can't get this Ryder Cup done, because the only guy that's shifting out again looks to be Justin Rose at this point.
Well, Spawn is a good pick. I think, when you mention the U.S. Open being his obvious coming out party, I mean, we forget that he went into a playoff at the Players with Rory McIlroy,
That's true.
you know, world
Yeah.
number one or world number two at that point. And then you're thinking, well, maybe it was just one of those weeks, where the guy just rides some hot shot making or some clutch putts and all of that. To do that twice in a year. And then the other thing you mentioned that, maybe statistically he's not the best putter. We saw what he did at the US Open. But those last three putts in Memphis last week, it
Right.
looked like every putt he stroked was going in, and all three of them, the last one did, and the other two, or however it concluded before Justin Rose finally got him. But I mean, from long range, 36 feet, 30 feet, 24 feet, and just every one of them was just beautifully, beautifully stroked. So, yeah, I mean, shoot, maybe this guy is the real thing. Okay, it could be a year or two of peaking. We don't know. But now he's a guy that's not sneaking onto the team, and let's see what he does. But there is an almost expectation that he's one of the best players. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so, and I go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, number two in points behind Scheffler for that U.S. team. So he has been good. It wasn't just the U.S. Open. He clearly has been good for the better part of the last, year and a half that they're counting this stuff. So, um,
Your two Europe
yeah,
picks, Al, again, were
I just mean the guys that like don't jump off the screen at you are Nikolai Højgaard and Sepp Straka.
yeah. So Straka, we're not positive what's going on in his life right now because he had to pull out of Memphis with a personal matter. Um, right now, don't know what that matter is, or will there be long-term effects from that. And then the other guy, I just wanted to hear you say Højgaard again, because not easy to pronounce. And between he and his brother, you could have two guys making the team, one guy making the team, zero guys making the team. What's funny about those guys, and I don't mean it's, wow, it's amazing that they are so good, so talented, and up there so often to be, identical twin brothers, if that's the case, or maybe they're twin brothers or they're brothers or something, or they live in the same town. I don't know. I should know. But those are the names you see pop up like one out of every five or six big tournaments. There they are on Saturday, kind of final group sort of thing, and haven't closed the door yet. But we know the more often you're up there and the experience that you get, you become accustomed to them being a factor in those high pressure big stages.
And what's interesting about this, Joe, uh, as I look back at the standings, Nikolai, who played in 2023, he's all the way down at 26th in the European standings. There's a good chance he might not be on this team. His brother, Rasmus, is eighth. So he's the guy that you're probably going to see. Then there's also Nicholas Norgard at 16. There is Rasmus Niergaard Peterson and Thorbjorn Olesen are also in the mix. The Danes are coming. You could just fill a Danish team. If this was the international crown on the LPGA, then the Danes would be highly, highly feared.
I have filled a Danish tray or two in my life, although my doctor's now cautioning me against that. But I think it's fun. I remember when the influx of Swedes came in the 90s. And, again, was that just a blip? But now you're seeing a real presence from all over Scandinavia. And yeah, well, if it's Denmark's turn, um, pay attention and get out those AP style books with the little circles and accents that go over things. Yeah.
Mhm. Get some
All
good
right.
reps in on pronunciation. All right, let's go to first. We'll talk about each our favorite competition in the past. We're only going to pick one here each, and up to you. I can go first, or you can go first.
Well, this was a tough one. Um, I had kind of a favorite, and then three others that were sitting around. But if I'm only going to pick one, it would be the first one I ever attended and covered, which would be the War by the Shore, Kiowa,
Oh yeah,
1991. And I was a young buck, didn't know any better. First time I had ever traveled for an assignment for Golf Illustrated, and it happened to be the Ryder Cup. Uh, and of course, things were kind of borderline out of control in terms of the patriotism because we had just come off the Gulf War. And so some of the players were in their camo fatigues and other dress, and a lot of patriotism really, whipping around because the U.S. had lost the last couple, 85, 87, 89, and this one was wild. And I think not only was it exciting to me, I didn't even realize that you could watch the whole thing from the press room and report on your stories. I was out there as a kid racing around the dunes trying to follow and catch all the action. Incredible conclusion. We know that. The wind whipping, a brand new, brutally tough golf course, stunning setting along the Atlantic Ocean. It had all of it going for it. And what it also had going for it was Seve Ballesteros in his prime, with all of his gamesmanship and all of his leadership. And it was just magnetic, absolutely riveting to be there, cover it, and for one of the most amazing conclusions in Ryder Cup history.
yeah. I spent all morning watching old. The Ryder Cup has great recaps of past events on their YouTube channel. So I watched the one about the War on the Shore this morning, and I mean, like A-list sort of rosters you have going there. You have young Fred Couples and Payne Stewart alongside uh, Hale Irwin, Lanny Watkins, uh, Marco Mira's out there, Calcavecchia, Azinger, Corey Pavin. I mean, these are sort of a who's who's. Raymond Floyd out there at 49 years old playing, right? And then you've got on the European side, as you mentioned, Seve, a young Monty, Ian Woosnam, who had just won the Masters, uh, Longer, Jose Maria Lothabal, Nick Faldo, David Faraday playing well. So um, it's funny that, in retrospect, to look back at this team's like, my goodness. I didn't know the captains were. I'm going to test your knowledge here. Do you remember who the captains were for each side?
Well, I remember Dave Stockton very, very well. And then I want to say by then it was Bernard Gallagher for Europe.
That is correct. 42 years old. So not much
I'll,
older than the guys playing on the roster there.
I'll, throw,
Could have been a playing captain scenario. Um,
Al, I'll
yeah, I
throw out
mean,
I'll,
go
I'll
ahead.
throw out one more little tiny piece of trivia that you're going to appreciate. So you and I last December ventured to a new private club north of Palm Beach called Apogee, with a couple of great brand new golf courses. One from Gil Hanse, the next one from Mike Davis and Tom Fazio II. And part of the marketing team at Apogee, at least when we visited, was a woman named Kathy Jordan. And she, back in 1991, worked for the PGA of America. And she was standing on the left side of the 18th fairway when Hale Irwin hit a decent hook off the tee in the last match against, of course, Bernhard Langer. Well, we know how that one finished, but Irwin got a fortunate break because his drive hit Kathy Jordan and kept it in play, so to speak, to where he at least had a chance to tie or win the hole. So I relived that moment with Kathy. She was amazed, perhaps, that I remembered all of that and associated that with her. But a little Ryder Cup trivia for you came down to that last match with Hale Irwin and Bernard Langer.
Unbelievable. I mean, this was riveting too. They went into Sunday singles tied at 8. So, and then it was just, trading blows the entire day. And it literally came down to the last putt. I mean, how often does that happen in the Ryder Cup? Has that happened other times that I'm not aware of where it's the final putt decides the entire competition? I don't know.
Well, we could certainly have our crack research team help us with
I'll
that.
ask I'll ask ChatGPT later to tell me if that was a thing elsewhere. Um,
Yeah, some
Incredible theater though.
All right. Yeah, I had to limit it to one. Where do you stand on your favorite, best, most memorable Ryder Cup match?
It jumps out for me because it sort of at a time where I am fresh out of college. I'm into playing the game with friends and uh, a boisterous young lad. In 1991, when they played at the War of the Shore, I had just turned 1 year old. So I don't remember that fondly, but um, 2016 at Hazeltine, we're coming off of 3 straight European victories, including the last time that they played on U.S. soil. The Miracle at Medina, U.S. blows a big lead to Europe to lose their 14 and a half to 13 and a half. And so, there's this sort of lull, but also a slow boil. You're trying to muster up all your patriotism as they were at Kiowa to get this thing back on the right track. So this is, the task force coming in for the U.S. and trying to get the formula correct and get the cup back on U.S. soil. So you have all these guys involved in that, and the squad that they came up with. One thing that jumped out to me was Tiger Woods is a assistant captain on this team, and you're thinking, at this, well, not at the time, but you're thinking now, didn't Tiger win the Masters in 2019? Like, why is he not a part of playing on this team? If you're going to put a task force together, uh, Tiger's going to end up on that. Looking back, he was still nursing a back injury, so he was not a part of that squad. Um, but the main players for the U.S. You've got Jordan Spieth, obviously, is one of the hottest players in the world at that point in time. He's their early Ryder Cup experience for him. Um, Not a rookie, though. He's still just 23 years old at the time. The only rookie on that U.S. team was Ryan Moore. You've got DJ. I think he was number 2 in the world. Spieth is 4. Patrick Reed at 8. Um, Ricky Fowler still playing really well. So you had a lot of guys kind of on the cusp of the prime of their career, and also some guys that are there that were probably on the way out at that point. Zach Johnson, Brant Snedeker, Matt Kuchar, but they were experienced players. So you sort of had this good mix going on. Actually, Ryan Moore, Brooks Koepka was also a rookie on this team. So his first Ryder Cup at the age of 26. At the time, he was 22 in the world. The Europeans sort of led by Sergio, Henrik Stenson, 40 at that time, Lee Westwood still on the team, Justin Rose is 36. But McIlroy was their de facto leader at this point already, certainly ripe in the prime of his career, 27, and he was 3 in the world at the time. So the crowd at Hazeltine was phenomenal. The U.S. jumps out to a 4-0 lead, Joe. They win the opening 4 matches, sweep them, and you're really feeling good about what's going on. The thing that made this Ryder Cup so compelling for me, though, ultimately, you know, came down to what happened in Sunday singles. And um, Rory lost his first match playing, and then they switched it up. They put Rory with Thomas Peters, who was a rookie, who actually ended up being the points leader on that team with 4 points. They went 3-0 as a team, and Rory was extremely animated and antagonistic with the U.S. crowd. So the boys in the red, white, and blue are leading this entire time, but Rory's kind of charging and leading this, uprising. You're not sure how it's going to end up. The writing could be on the wall to lose a record fourth straight Ryder Cup. They did. The U.S. won 3 of the 4 Saturday afternoon matches to take a 3-point lead, but then you put out Rory and Patrick Reed against each other, the pairing everybody wanted to see going out first in Sunday singles. And that's basically the entire reason why this was my favorite Ryder Cup. Was that match was so hyped up and somehow surpassed every expectation we could have imagined. I don't remember a single match at all in the Ryder Cup that had this much drama and back and forth, and guys just they were matching each other, they were giving it to each other, showing sportsmanship too in at the same time. Ultimately, P. Reed wins on a one-up victory for him, and he's Captain America. That's all this lore. It's so interesting now. Like this, he's been pretty villainized, but for a few years there, he was everyone's favorite golfer in this country when it came to Ryder Cup time. So, another great match on Sunday was Sergio against Phil. Phil makes a putt on the last hole to have that match. So that was extremely dynamic. And yeah, the U.S. gets it done 17-11. So the task force worked until the next year when it didn't. Obviously, a big win at Whistling Straits and a big loss again. The last 3 Ryder Cups, 4, 5, yeah, the last 5 Ryder Cups have pretty much been, heavily one-sided by the end of it. But yeah, everything about Hazeltine was really special, and was feeling the USA fever at the time when that was going on.
Al, I like the choice. If I was asked for my top 4 and I gave you Kiowa in 1991 on the War by the Shore, 2016 and Hazeltine was in my top 4. So I was there all week covering the tournament, and I kind of called that one that you described Captain America and the Roars with Roars, meaning that's what Patrick Reed was known as in those days. Fierce patriotism, and going against Rory, who was his equal for the most part, and Patrick Reed beat him that day. The match you mentioned with Mickelson and Garcia, 2 of the most talented, passionate players on either side, lived up to that billing and then some.
Yeah.
But was overshadowed, understandably, by McIlroy and Reed. Helping that week was phenomenal weather. It never got too windy. It was just the right temperature for late September in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I think keeping enough of the good sportsmanship in play happened because golf had just lost the king, Arnold Palmer. And that kind of pervaded throughout the proceedings, is just how everybody loved him, and that out of respect for what he meant to the game, let's just keep it as civil as we can be. PGA of America, the organizers, the setup people, gave a little bit of a subdued Hazeltine compared to its major championship setup, and also rerouted the golf course, both aspects of the front nine and the back nine, to bring some drama late into the proceedings, if not necessarily the 18th. Specifically, the 16th, which was the regular seventh, was a par five risk reward, and there were lots of casualties on that hole, along with a couple of great rewards. And then 17 being a par three with water, and we saw mistakes happen there under the pressure as well. So phenomenal week for everyone concerned. It was so great for spectators to see these birdies and eagles. It's match play,
Mm.
I mean, so what? It's just this isn't the U.S. Open where even par is looking to be your standard. It was mono against mono, and it lived up to its billing.
We'll get to see it again. 2029, the Ryder Cup is going back to Hazeltine. Quickly, I'll give you the future venue set as it stands. So we are at Bethpage this year, Adair Manor in Ireland in 2027, Hazeltine 29, Camarol Golf and Wellness in Spain. That's in 2031. So could we see Sergio captain this team by the time we get to 2031? Might make sense. 2033 Olympic Club. So you're getting a little preview of at the U.S. Amateur right now going on of that course. 35, the 50th edition of the Ryder Cup is open. We don't know where that is going to be just yet, but we do know the one after that, 37, 2037 is at Congressional Blue in Maryland. So close to our nation's capital there. Um, I hate, I mean, I don't hate any of those venues, but um, I was going to say, transitioning to our last thing, my favorite Ryder Cup venue as it relates to the War by the Shore, I think Kiowa, the Ocean Course, I would love to see that one get the competition again. I mean, you talk about risk reward, you talk about drama on every shot with the amount of um, different hazards in play, playing in the dunes, water everywhere, green stage like greens propped up over everything, and the unpredictability of weather. Um, Having played that course and seeing the drama down the stretch, um, you like to get people to that 17th hole in a match. Sometimes you can't always do that. I mean, I know courses like Quail Hollow, they had to switch and make that green mile sort of the middle of the back section for the President's Cup. Um, don't think they did that at the Ocean Course, right? That they just used the normal routing, but um, some of those holes down the stretch can be really, really fun when the pressure is on. So that's the only thing I hate about that. These already having been decided. We know that before the next possible choice of 2039, like we're not going to get a chance at that. It's already been decided. But what say you? What's your favorite Ryder Cup venue ever? One.
Well, the Ocean Course at Kiowa was my number two pick, and I might be stand accused of recency bias, but my favorite Ryder Cup course was Whistling Straits in Wisconsin, and I say that because evaluating all the Ryder Cup courses I've both seen and studied, I felt from a design standpoint, both spectator, television, it delivered a greater number of individually memorable holes than any Ryder Cup course ever, starting with 8 cliff-top stunners overlooking Lake Michigan. Design variety, shot values, all at the elite level. Strategies and shot trajectories changed with the ever-changing winds, which blew one way on Friday afternoon, a different way on Saturday, and not much at all Friday morning or Sunday afternoon. Muscular par fours complemented by drivable tests. DeChambeau showed us the 364-yard first hole on Sunday, drive and a 41-foot putt. Thank you, Bryson. And the 355-yard sixth hole all week where three woods prevailed when downwind. I mean, it just had it all because no matter what was going on, the wind could shift, strategies could shift. You had to come up with the goods, and it might not have been the easiest course to walk. But in Ryder Cup, you don't have a lot of walking spectators. There's just not a lot of room with only four matches going at one time the first 2 days. So usually you're there in the grandstand or standing in one place watching the four matches go by. So Whistling Straits, you have my pick as the best Ryder Cup course of all.
How about that? A couple of Pete Dye courses. Um, Clearly, we're fans of the everything that goes into what he accomplishes. um,
Now, Al,
yeah.
will you get a chance to visit Whistling Straits anytime soon?
Yes, I will. Maybe that'll change for me. Maybe I'll come away after our event in October at Kohler, Wisconsin, where we'll play the Straits course. I could have some favor there, or maybe I'll just play terrible and I'll hate it. So we'll see how that
Well, we
turns
will
out. But
see.
yeah, I'll get a crack at it in October. The salmon will be running. The fall foliage will be in full display. So
Foliating.
I'm
Uh,
really looking forward to that.
and that will be for a Lynx reader event, I
Yes, it
believe.
will. Yeah, yeah. First time at Kohler, so we're very excited. Staying at the American Club, playing the Irish, and the let's see, Black Wolf Run, the River course, I believe. So good slate. We're excited for the ones that have signed up and joined us. If you're interested, go check out our website for more there as well. But hopefully,
Phenomenal
everything we
lineup.
discussed here on this Ryder Cup podcast isn't a moot point by the time we actually get to the competition. And Keegan Bradley's just decided to totally sit out and not even be the captain because he's done with it. Um, we'll see. We'll see which Hoygaard makes it onto the team. All that good stuff. Um, yeah, looking forward to it, Joe.
Yeah, me too, Al. Always do.
All right. That'll do it for this season of the Links Golf Podcast. Thanks to Perry Golf for sponsoring us all season long. Go visit them, perrygolf.com. Play the game, see the world, see 6 different continents, and try to figure out where the Ryder Cup's going to be for its 50th playing in Europe somewhere. Your guess is as good as mine.